What if Luffy wasn't the son of Dragon but of Rock's Xebec? How would that change the entire story of One Piece? Which devil fruit would Luffy have, and what would his relationship with Blackbeard be like? Luffy's backstory in this timeline begins with Rox raising him as his son. One day, Rox returned to 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚒𝚡 with a baby he had found on a deserted island. This little boy would turn the lives of the Rox pirates and the entire world upside down. Rox raised Luffy as if he were his own son, much like Roger once raised Shanks. Surprisingly, Rox even seemed rather affectionate towards Luffy, a side of him his crew had never really seen from their captain. Luffy's childhood was quite harmonious, but also full of wild adventures. He grew up on 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚒𝚡 together with the Rox pirates, but also alongside some of Charlotte Linlin's children, among them Katakuri, Daifugu and Oven. The four of them quickly became friends and went on different adventures together. Once they stole a small treasure from Captain John, and another time they played pranks on Kaido. In this timeline, Linlin even came to embrace Luffy in her heart, treating him like an adopted son. Later, Luffy learned armament haki from Kaido, from Whitebeard he learned observation haki, and Rox himself taught him how to wield a sword. During his time on 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚒𝚡, Luffy often hung out at Shaki's bar, drinking milk, just like in the original timeline in Makino's party spa. But he grew frustrated that Rox never took him on adventures. He was always stuck on 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚒𝚡. Until one day, Luffy came up with an idea. The Rox pirates prepared for their next great adventure, Elbaf. In the land of the giants, Rox hoped to form an alliance with King Harold. Together they would be powerful enough to overthrow the celestial dragons. But Harold refused. He saw Rox as a friend, but not as someone he wanted to be associated with. But it wasn't just the Rox pirates who sailed to Elbaf. Luffy had secretly snuck aboard the ship to join in on the adventure. Rox gave a quick shocked anal face when he found out, but the other crew members just burst out laughing. It seemed Luffy had officially become a true pirate. On Elbaf, Luffy met Hyrule and Loki. The two brothers were constantly fighting, with Loki always pulling pranks on the villagers. Luffy wanted nothing more than to stay for a while and learn from the giants. Neither Rox nor Harold seemed to mind. After all, humans had lived on Elbaf in the past. Luffy ended up staying on Elbaf for several years, growing up alongside Loki and Hyrule. During this time, he also became Loki's very first real friend. Someone who finally made Loki feel accepted. Eventually, Loki came up with the idea to steal Elbaf's secret treasure, dragging Luffy along with him. The mischievous duo broke into the castle and stole a legendary devil fruit. Loki wondered what kind of fruit it could be, but before he could decide, Luffy had already taken a bite out of it simply because he was hungry. Loki was horrified. If he had eaten it, the villagers would have just gotten angry with him again. But now with an outsider eating their sacred treasure, things could turn out much worse. Determined to protect Luffy, Loki insisted he should return to Rock's crew. Loki himself would take the blame for stealing the fruit. At first, Luffy refused, but eventually Loki persuaded him. From then on, Rox occasionally returned to Elbaf to try and recruit Harold into his crew, but always without success. On Rock's final visit, Luffy once again stowed away aboard the ship, surprising Rox. But this time, Luffy had something new to show him, his devil fruit powers. We don't know yet for certain which legendary devil fruit was hidden on Elbaf. Some theories suggest it was the Gomu Gomu no Mi, also known as the Nika fruit. Let's go with that, meaning that in this timeline as well, Luffy ends up eating the Nika fruit. Whether or not he will awaken it, we will see later in the story. By the way, this was also one of the two fruits Rox needed to achieve his ultimate goal. By the way, if you liked the video so far, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This would help me a lot. Several more years passed. We are now 38 years before the original timeline. By this point, Luffy had mastered his devil fruit powers and was able to activate Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd. From Kaido, Luffy had also learned advanced armament and observation haki. His friendship with Katakuri, Oven and Daifugu had grown stronger, and the boys were already making plans to form their own pirate crew someday. But then tragedy struck. Shaki, essentially Luffy's foster mother in this timeline, was kidnapped by the God Knights and taken to God Valley. The Rox pirates set out to rescue her, and once again Luffy secretly snuck aboard their ship to help save her. On the way to God Valley, the Rox pirates encountered Harold one final time. Rocks revealed to Harald his true name, Davy D. Xebec, a descendant of the legendary pirate Davy D. Jones. In truth, Rocks wasn't just going to God Valley to save Shaggy, he was also going there to rescue his lover and his son from the world government. Luffy overheard this information. Even though no one knew he was on board, he decided he would help Rocks achieve his goal. Harald and Xebec clashed one last time before the Rocks pirates managed to escape. When they finally arrived at God Valley, chaos erupted. Shaggy was declared the grand prize. The God Knights prepared themselves to claim her. The Rocks pirates, Roger pirates and Garp's fleet all clashed on the island. Somehow the world government managed to kill Rocks, likely with Imu appearing in the body of someone else, perhaps Gunko, and possibly manipulating other characters through some kind of domi reversi. Just before his death, Rocks reunited with his lover and son one last time. He apologized for taking so long to reach them. He swore he would destroy the world government for what they have done to them. Luffy also witnessed this. He offered to help Rocks get his lover and son off the island. Xebec agreed, but before Luffy could succeed, Garling stabbed 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚎𝚑𝚝 mother and killed her. For some reason, Garling seems to have a grudge against the mothers on God Valley. Rocks went into a rage, completely consumed by fury. Luffy too lost control and for the first time activated his Conqueror's Haki. But even that wasn't enough. Either Roger and Garp stopped him, which seems unlikely, or Imu stood in Rocks' way. Perhaps Rocks and Roger even fought side by side for a brief moment, but in the end they lost and Rocks was killed. Before his final breath, he may have even given a legendary speech. Xebec asked Luffy to take care of his son and make the world government pay for what they have done to him and his family. His will could not be allowed to die with him. Luffy swore to fulfill Rocks' last wish. The Rocks pirates then managed to escape from God Valley, but their captain was dead. Luffy also managed to save Shaggy from the Tenryubitu. The Rocks pirates returned to Hachinosu to gather their belongings. But with the death of Xebec, the island once again became a lawless zone. It fell into the hands of Fuchoko. Luffy then traveled together with Charlotte Linlin, Streusen and her children. During this time, Whole Cake Island slowly began to take shape, becoming the home of the Charlotte family. Luffy pursued a plan, the plan of Rocks, to set the Holy Land ablaze. For this, he needed two special devil fruits, one of which he already possessed. The second devil fruit was most likely the legendary Yami Yami no Mi. This fruit was capable of nullifying other devil fruit abilities. He also needed the help of the 𝙬 giants. According to Rocks, these giants had once built the ancient weapon Pluton. With this weapon, Luffy could destroy the Red Line and wipe out the celestial dragons. First, Luffy set out to obtain the second legendary devil fruit. Using Linlin's underground network, they quickly discovered the Yami Yami no Mi had been found by a bounty hunter on the Grand Line. Luffy swiftly defeated him and claimed the fruit and then gave it to 𝙗𝚗 to eat. 𝙗𝚗 was deeply traumatized and in the years that followed had to come to the terms with watching his family die before his eyes. Luffy did everything he could to help him heal these old wounds. He taught him the value of friendship through their new crew and showed him that family doesn't just mean blood. Anyone can be your family as long as you share a bond of trust. As mentioned earlier, Luffy had planned with Katakuri, Daifuku and Oven to form a pirate crew, and that's exactly what they did. Luffy named the crew the Davy Pirates in homage to Rock's true family name. Indirectly, Linlin even sponsored them with their first ship, which technically made them all Nepo babies. 𝙗𝚗 joined as the cabin boy, and Luffy also recruited Hyrule and Loki into the crew. This chaotic pirate crew spent the next several years roaming the Grand Line, having wild adventures across different islands, all while searching for the 𝙬 giants, though unfortunately without success. 25 years before the main timeline, they suddenly encountered the Whitebeard and Roger pirates. Luffy was thrilled to reunite with Whitebeard and to meet Roger again, whom he had only briefly seen back on God Valley. From Roger, Luffy learned about the road poneglyphs, ancient red stones that talk about the Void Century and much more. Luffy also mentioned the blueprints of the ancient weapon Pluton, which was said to be in the possession of the legendary shipwright Tom. The Davy Pirates then traveled to Water 7 to speak with Tom about Pluton. At first, Tom pretended not to know anything, but when Luffy mentioned the 𝙬 giants and Xebec's plan to use Pluton against the world government, Tom agreed to help. Together with Frankie and Iceberg, they built this legendary ship. According to Tom, however, it was only a replica of the true ancient weapon. The location of the real Pluton remained unknown. Luffy and the Davy Pirates pirates now had everything they needed to carry out Xebec's plan. Luffy then traveled to each former Rocks pirate to recruit them for one final mission. He succeeded in bringing Whitebeard, Kaido, Linlin, Shiki, Ganzui, John, Stacy, Gloriosa, Stroyson, Barbel, Kyo and Jill Buster. But not just them, also their crews. Together armed with the ancient weapon Pluton and the 2 legendary devil fruits, they set their course for Merijoa. Linlin created a massive cloud homie which carried them up the red line like a flying nimbus. Upon arriving at Merijoa, the former Rocks pirates set the Holy Land ablaze. They fired Pluton and almost everything was destroyed. The God Knights were the first to be sent into battle, but they were immediately attacked by Whitebeard, Kaido, Linlin and Shiki. Marco and King unleashed flames across the Holy Land with their Zoan powers. While some of the future Yonko crew members clashed with the God Knights, the other infiltrated Pangaea Castle. There the Gorosei themselves stood in our hero's way. Whitebeard faced Walkuri, Kaido faced Yupeta, Big Mom faced Mars, Shiki faced Nosjuro, and Katakuri, Oven and Daifugu faced Saturn. But Luffy and Teach had to keep moving. They reached the Room of Flowers, where Imu awaited them. The moment had come. Imu would face the power of Joy Boy's Devil Fruit and the descendant of Davy D. Jones. Perhaps Joy Boy's true name had even been Davy D. Jones, which would make this showdown all the more epic. There was a specific reason why Xebec needed these 2 devil fruits above all else. Teach had to use the Yami Yami no Mi to defeat Imu and nullify his devil fruit powers. By doing so, he would also be able to end the immortality of the Gorosei. After an epic showdown between the 3, Teach succeeded. This allowed Whitebeard, Kaido, Linlin, Shiki and the Charlotte brothers to finish the Gorosei off, reducing them just to skeletons. During the battle, however, Luffy was nearly killed by Imu. This triggered the awakening of his devil fruit. Through the drums of liberation and his reality-bending abilities, Gear 5th Luffy finally managed to defeat Imu and stop him. Xebec's plan has been fulfilled. The Celestial Dragon system was destroyed, but then came the question, who would rule the world now? It was something Luffy had never really thought about. To ensure that no one ever would, he destroyed the empty throne himself, along with the entire Pangaea Castle. The world of One Piece was suddenly plunged into anarchy. What would happen next? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this adventure of Luffy, you can also check out this one where Luffy was raised by Roger. This journey unfolds in a completely different way. Thanks for watching this video and until next time, take care.